create a task that's due tonight to edit a video that should take about 2 hours, and I want to start that task at 8:15 p.m. So you can see it has gone to my Notion database here with my to-do list and has created a task here to edit a video. Due date is at 8:15. It will take about 2 hours to do, and it is listed as not started yet. And then here it has actually gone to my calendar and created a calendar event to edit a video at 8:15. Then it responded to me with the confirmation here, and then we can play this audio message.
A task titled Edit a Video has been created in Notion, due on April 1st, 2025 at 8:15 p.m. for a duration of 2 hours. A corresponding calendar event is scheduled from 8:15 p.m. to 10:15 p.m. on the same date.
So you can see I can interact with this agent through a voice chat and then get the response back through text, as well as a voice response back. Now I can also send a message to this agent and say something like, please so you can see it's gone ahead and updated that event on my calendar. And if I go over to my to-do list, we can see edit a video has been updated, the due date has been updated to 9 p.m. and then the time needed has actually been changed to 1.5 hours. Then we can listen to the audio message here as well.
The video editing task has been rescheduled to April 1st, 2025 at 9 p.m. lasting 1.5 hours. It is currently marked as not started. For more details, visit the Notion task here, www.notion.so/edit-video-1c8758.
So you can see it responds to us back. In that case, it listed the entire URL. But that makes a good point, is that we can actually click on the links here to go to each of these items. So it'll actually open up that task for us in Notion, or I can open it up inside of my Google Calendar here. So very convenient when we are actually interacting with this agent. And then I could also tell it something like, so you can see when I say it's done or I checked it off, it then deletes that event from my calendar. And if we go back to my to-do list, it has changed the status of that event to done. And then again, it sent us an audio file here, kind of summarizing what is done for my Notion to-do list and my calendar events. Today I'm going to be showing you how to create an AI agent that will actually manage your to-do list items, and it will update a calendar to actually schedule out those events that you need to do for the day. Now I'm going to start by showing you how to get access to a free template for this workflow. Then I'm going to walk you through this entire thing step by step and show you exactly what it's doing and show you how to set it up so you can start using this yourself. Now really quick, before we jump into setting this workflow up, if you're a business owner looking to use AI agents inside of your own business, then book a call using the link in the description. I will personally answer any questions you might have about using this technology, and I'll give you some actionable ways to actually leverage AI agents inside of your own business. So without wasting any more time, let's hop into setting this workflow up for yourself. So like I said, the first thing you're going to do is go down to the link in the description and get access to the free template for this workflow. Once you've gotten that JSON file or the template for this workflow, we're going to go over to a website called innatinn.io. So here you're going to create an account or just log in if you already have one. Once you log in, you're going to be brought to this overview page. And what we're going to do from here is we're going to go up to the top right and select create a new workflow. This will bring us to an empty editor. And since you have that JSON file with the template, what we're going to do is go up to the top right and select these three dots and then select import from file. Then you're just going to select that JSON file that you just downloaded, and it will import this entire workflow into your Innatinn account. So I can start by walking you through this entire thing, and we're going to start over here on the left side with a Telegram trigger. So you might have seen it in the demo. I was interacting with this agent through a Telegram chat. Telegram is just a messaging platform that allows us to send both audio and text messages like you just saw, and we can actually receive the audio message and text messages back through the Telegram chat. This also allows us to interact with the agent through our computer or our laptop, which I was doing in the demo. You can also do this on your phone, which is very convenient if you're out and about. Make any quick changes to your to-do list, change the times that you're going to do them at, etc. You can do that just easily through the Telegram app on your phone. So to get started creating this, you're going to need a Telegram account, obviously. and that is free to create. So create your Telegram account, and then we're going to come over to Telegram itself. What we're going to do is we're going to start a conversation with what is called the bot father. You can see the username here. It's a little strange, but we're going to start a conversation here. Close out of that. And I believe this happens automatically, but we're going to do /start to start the conversation, and then it will list out the list of commands there. And then we're going to do /new bot to actually create a bot to interact with here. So I'll ask you to name it, and then it will give you the link to start messaging that bot, and then we'll give you the API access token here. So you're just going to copy this API access token. We can go back into initIn and open up this Telegram trigger step here. Select create new credential, and then paste in the access token right there. Click save, and then you're good to go as far as connecting your Telegram account. So the next thing we're doing here is we are routing down 2 different paths, and what this does is it filters the input that it's actually receiving. Whether it's a voice input, it goes down this top route, or if it's just a text message that we sent, it goes down the bottom route here. So this if statement, you don't have to change any of this, don't worry, I'm just kind of explaining what this is doing, but this is just detecting if a voice file actually exists. If it does, it will be set to true and go up to here. This just gets the file that was sent, the voice file that was sent through Telegram, and then it will transcribe the recording using this OpenAI step here. So inside of this step, we actually need to connect your OpenAI account. So to do this, we're going to select credential, new credential, and then we need to get the API key here, which we can do by just looking up OpenAI API. I'm going to click on this overview page here. You might have to log into this website, but once you do, we're going to go up to dashboard, go over to the left side, go to API keys, click create new secret key. It'll ask you to name it here, and then it will give you the secret key. So we're going to copy that. We can go back into initIn. You're just going to paste that in here, click save, and then you are good to go here. So alternatively, if you enter a text message, it will send down the false route here at the bottom. And what we are doing here is we are just we're setting a variable called text to the value that was actually entered through the text message itself. So whatever you send will be set to a variable called text. And what this allows us to do is inside of the AI agent here, we are prompting the agent, and I'll get through the rest of this in just a second. So what we're doing here is we are giving the agent the user request, which was sent through Telegram. And this is in the form of a variable called json.text. So this allows us to use this same variable to reference the information from here as well as here. So either route that it takes, it will then plug in either the transcribed recording or just the text message for this variable. So that is what this edit field step is doing, is just setting a variable text to the value that was entered through your text message. And then I can get into the rest of the prompt here. So like I just said, we're sending in your request that you sent through Telegram. And then here we're just listing out all of the tools that it actually has access to. So up first we have the calendar tools, which I've connected through Google Calendar. So it has the option to delete an event, and this should be done whenever we complete an event or whenever we are updating an event. It will just delete the event or create a new event and then delete the old one. So my update event was not working, so I just told it to create an event and then delete the old one. Pretty much the same thing as updating, but that is what this is told to do here. Up next is create a calendar event, and this should just be done whenever we are creating a task and then scheduling that task on our calendar. Update an event, again I'm just telling it to create an event, which it should use this one, and then delete the old event, which it uses this tool up here. And then finally we have get a calendar event or events, and this just finds the events that we already have scheduled on our calendar, so you can just ask what task do I have to do today, and it'll just list those out. And then up next we have the Notion tools. So as you saw in the demo, I'm using Notion to manage my to-do list. and it can create a task, and then it has the option to set these different values here. So the due date of the task, the status, and then the number of hours that task will actually take. So the status here, I'm just setting to not started. This is because of my Notion page, which I'll get to setting up in just a second, but you can see I have two different status here, not started and then done. So whenever I create a task, I just set it to not started. And then up next, we have the get tasks. So this just, again, lists the task out. And then we have check off a task. And what this does is it changes the status of that task from not started to done. And I showed that in the demo as well. And then here at the end, we're just giving it access to today's date. So you can just ask, like I did, create an event today at 9, so it knows today what today's date is, and it can factor that in when it's creating the task and the calendar events on our calendar. So that is it for the agent prompt here. Then I'll quickly go over the system message. So this is just saying your assistant in charge of managing my to-do list or my tasks. We're using Notion pages, and then also scheduling them in my calendar. And then here we're just, saying ask clarifying questions. And then this was a issue that I had when actually testing this. Make sure when updating tasks, you update the calendar and the Notion page, just because we want both of these two tools, the calendar and my Notion account, to reflect any changes that we make to both of these. So that is it for this AI agent. I can start walking you through these tools here. And I'll start here on the left side. So OpenAI, we're just using as the chat model. You won't have to do anything here. You've already connected your OpenAI account. Up next, we have the window buffer memory. This just gives the agent access to previous messages that were actually sent. And I demoed that in the beginning as well. Quickly show you the example. So I can just say things like, please reschedule. And then it could actually I could just say, please reschedule to start at 9 p.m. and it could reference the previous task that was actually created. So that is what this is doing here. And then up next, we have the 3 Google Calendar tools that we are using. So I'm going to open up just one of these just to show you how to connect your Google Calendar account. So go to credential, create new credential, and then it'll pop up and ask you to sign in with Google. Just click sign in with Google, select your Google account, and then it will give you a list of permissions to give anyone access to your Google Calendar. I just click select all, and then you're good to go. Click save here once you've connected that, and then we can close out of this and go back into the delete event. So I'll start with the delete event. Like I just said, you'll just leave everything here the same. You'll select your calendar that you just connected, and then here we're just entering the event ID that we are the event ID of the event that we're actually deleting. So that's all we have to do here. You will only have to select your calendar and then connect your Google Calendar account. So that's all you have to do here for the delete event tool. We can go up next is the create event. Here you'll want to select your calendar, the start and end, and then the summary. So here we're just filling in these fields. Most of these are just going to be from AI, and this just plugs in a variable and lets the AI agent actually fill this in itself. So start of event, end of event, and then the title of the event, which for some reason it's called summary, but it's the big title that you see in your Google Calendar. So all of this should be filled in. If not, just copy what's on my screen, and then you just need to select your calendar here, and you'll be good to go for the create events. Up next is the get events for your calendar. So again, just select the calendar here. You can leave everything up top the same, and then you can just leave everything down here the same. So after of events, before of events, this just again is filled in by the AI to actually find the events that you're looking for. So you can click out of this, and up next we have the Notion tools. So before we get started connecting those, I'm going to show you how to set up a Notion database to store your tasks in. So we're going to go over to my Notion account here. I'm going to open this up, And what we're going to start by doing is creating a new page. So I'm going to go up to this plus right here, create new page, and then I can just name it like to-do list example. So this is just the name of the page. And then up next, we're going to create a database. So I'm going to go to the body of this page here, and you can see we're going to use / to get the list of commands. I'm going to type database, and then it pops up with the database inline. So I'm going to choose the inline database, and then that will actually create this database for us. So the title, I'm just going to name it something like or to-do list. And keep in mind that these are not referencing the same things. These titles do not have to be the same. This is the title of the database, and this is just the title of the page. So you're going to want to remember the database title, not the page title. So up next, we can actually start adding the different properties that we want inside of this database. So the name I may change to the task. Can add another property here. I'll add the due date. Add another one for the status here, and then one for number. And then I can change this, the title of this. So if you click out of it, you can see we have all of these. And to edit these, you're just going to double, or I guess just click on it, and then we can see. So you can make any changes to all of these properties here. For example, I'm going to change the status. So you can just click on status, you can edit the name here, or you can click edit property. And like I did in the other example, I'm going to click on in progress and just delete this status option. So we just have not started and then done. You can also rename these if you'd like. So click on it, and then you can change the name here and the color as well. So pretty handy. We can actually add a test event or a test task, I guess, just to use when we're actually connecting to N8N. And what we need to do first to actually add a connection to connect our Notion to N8N is we're going to go over to the left side here and access the menu. And move my camera for a second. So we're going to go down to settings. So scroll all the way down to settings. And then we're going to click connections. So there's actually two connections. We're going to use this first one here at the top. Go to develop or manage integrations. That will open a website here. You can see I have quite a bit of examples here, but we're going to do new integration. Add the name here. Select the workspace you want to connect it to. I believe we just leave this as internal. Click save, and then we can click configure integration settings, and then I just left mine all as they are right now. I didn't change any of them. And then this is where we get the internal integration secret. So you're going to want to press show, and then you're going to copy this integration secret. We can go back to N8N, open up any one of these tools here, go to the credential, create new credential, and then paste in the integration secret here. Click save, and then that will actually connect your Notion account into N8N. So we can close out of this site here, and once we're done with that, however, there is one more thing we need to do inside of Notion to finish this process, and we can do that by going back to that same page that we were just on for the to-do list, and go up to the top right and select this three dots to get this menu. We're going to scroll down to connections, and then you're going to scroll through the list of connections here and find the one that we just made. So mine was N8N example. Click confirm, and then that will add a connection. So you can see we now have one connection here, and we'll add it to the bottom there. This might take a minute to actually update inside of your N8N account, so if it's not populating right away, just give it a second. But we can go back to N8N, and then what we are doing inside of the Get Tasks tool is scroll down the database. You'll just want to select that database that you just connected. So Again, that might take a minute to kind of load in there, but select the database. And then for each of these, we're going to select build manually and then must match any filter. And then what I've set each of these to, so the task I set to contains. This just gives the AI a little bit of leeway. It doesn't have to actually match the name of the task exactly. You can set to equals or contains, starts with, ends with, is empty. So I would do either equals, contains, or starts with. But I just did contains. And then the title. So I'll just show this for example. So I'm going to copy this and delete this property. So I'm going to add a condition. I can add the task for it. So what this does is we're filtering by the task. If the task contains, and then here we are filling in, we're setting to expression, and then we're going to type 2 curly brackets to get a variable, $, and then from AI, just like this, parentheses, and then quotes inside the parentheses, and then task name, task, title of page, something like that, so the AI actually knows what to fill in here. So then we're going to close the quotes, close the parentheses, and then you can see it turns gray. So what this does is it allows the AI to search for the due date. So if the due date equals, and then it can plug in the due date there, or if the time needed equals, and then it can plug it in there. Same thing here, the task. So if the task name contains, and then whatever task name we're searching for, it can fill in that information there. So that is it for the get tasks. Next, we need to create a task. So again, your Notion account will already be connected. Just select that database here under the drop down, and then the title of the page when we are creating a page is the title of the task. So you will have to manually fill in the properties here. Again, you just click add property. It will, once it's loaded, give you a drop down list. So you can just do like I did here, select it from the drop down. So for the due date, it looks like this. You're going to change the search value to expression from AI to allow the AI to fill in the date that it's searching for, or whatever value that you're searching for, or, and I guess in this case, creating. So when you're creating the page, it will fill in the due date of the task, the number of hours needed, and then the status of the task here. And I do want to point out that we actually need to plug in the status into the prompt here. So if I go back to the agent prompt, the status, I specified the default status that it should have, and then this inside these quotes actually needs to match exactly what is in Notion. So you can see it's not started with a capital N. Same thing here. And then done. When I check a task off my to-do list, I want to update the status. So I change it from not started to done. And again, that should match exactly what is in my to-do list here. And then here I'm specifying the type of date that it should create. So is I don't even know what this is, but if we go into the create a task, go to the date, click the question mark, it gives you the format of the date, but I just gave it to the agent and it knows what to do. So less work on me, but you're just going to repeat this for all the properties that you have. So these different things at the top, so task, due date, status, and then the number of hours needed for this example here. So just repeat that when you're creating the task here. Probably the same for get tasks. And then the check off items is going to be an update task. So you want to, for this, I'm actually going to show you how to do this. Check off items, and then the update a task is going to be a little bit different. You're going to do the same process for both of these, but what we're going to do is I'm going to just copy this and write this down just so I have it still. But the database page we're going to set to URL, and then that is why I had you create an example here. So I'm going to go back to my other one that I've connected. but we're going to open up one of these items. You can just click open in side peek like mine says here. Yours might open in a center peek, whatever, but we're just going to open up one of these items inside of our database. We're going to click on share and then copy the link. So this copies the URL for this database entry here. And you want to make sure that it is actually the database entry, not the database page. So make sure it's some task that you've entered here. We can go back to initIn, paste in that database page here into the URL. So make sure it's set to by URL, paste in that page here, and then we can add a property. So you can see it then loads in the properties that that page actually has. And for the checkoff items, we only need the status of the task. So click on status, and then we can click expression, and then we're going to type in 2 curly brackets. We need a variable from AI, and then we're going to do updated status. So we are just updating the status, in my case, from not started to done when we actually complete an item and we are checking it off our list. So once you've done that and added that to the properties section, we then need to go back and set this to by ID. And then I'm going to copy that same thing I just had earlier. So set this to expression so it turns gray. And then again, you're going to do a variable, so from AI, and then the page ID of completed task. So this tells the AI that, hey, if I've completed a task, you then need to get the page ID of that page and then plug it in here. That will find the page, and then you're changing the status from, in the prompt, we said from not started to done. So that is what this tool here is doing. Close out of that, and then we can go into update task, which does the exact same thing. So paste in that same database URL and then add the different properties. In this case, I would add most or all of them. I just did due date and then the task or the time needed. So I kept the task the same and then just allowed it to change the due date and the time needed. The status I'm changing in the other step when I actually complete the task. So whatever things you want to be able to edit, just add the properties for that here as well. It will give you the drop down like I just did in the previous step, and then you can use from AI variables here and just add a little bit of a description to what you're actually wanting it to plug in here. So updated due date or updated time needed. So once you've done that, we can click out of there. And then there is, I don't believe anything you'll have to do for the rest of this. No. So what we're doing here is we are sending both a text response back. So this just sends the output from the agent back to ourselves through Telegram. And then here what we are doing is we are summarizing that output from the agent into a little bit of simpler text. So as you might have noticed, it's not reading back the entire response. It doesn't read back the entire Telegram message. It summarizes it. And then here we are generating audio based on that text that was just summarized. And then we are sending that back to ourselves through an audio message inside of Telegram. So like I just said, you won't have to do anything for any of this over here. Once you set up the tools, you'll be good to go. So that is what it's doing, sending the responses back. And yeah, that's pretty much it for this video, showing you how to set up an agent that can take both voice and text input and then sends us both voice and text back to actually manage our to-do list and our calendar events to schedule those to-do list items out on our calendar. So yeah, if you have any questions, drop a comment below. And if you got anything from this video, please leave a like and subscribe. And yeah, that's all I have for you today. Have a good one.